What is up YouTube, and welcome to this DC Movies video. We will be discussing the changes to Suicide Squad by WB and how the AYER cut would have been so much different. So if you're new to the channel, then please do subscribe with notifications on, and if you're new, then please do drop a like below as well. So with that out of the way, let's dive in. Over the weekend I did a video on the Snyder Cut and what differences there were between the almost Ark of the Covenant level of mystery edition and the actual theatrical release. The removal of Darkseid and the lack of build-up to Steppenwolf in the preceding movies, besides a deleted scene in Batman vs Superman, made it a total letdown. Now, Suicide Squad itself was a bit of a letdown to some, but I personally really enjoyed it, to be honest, and despite its flaws and a lack of a decent villain, the whole corruption and Enchantress brother was uninspired and not entertaining at all, but I did enjoy it. However, in the recent weeks, as the Snyder Cut obsessors have reached a new level of desire for the movie, David Ayer has been tweeting out the changes and differences that were made in the early stages, and people who worked on the movie have even wondered where most of the movie actually went. Now, if we haven't got a Snyder Cut, then we will certainly, to be honest, never get an Ayer cut, but it's fun to look at what could have been and how this would have linked closely into Justice League and how the Joker actually had a third act that was totally missing. Now, David Ayer stated that he is tired of being battered for the movie's bad parts when it is not even his final vision, and that's something I totally get. The movie had extensive reshoots and it is easy to forget an entirely different cut was shown to different test audiences. All this makes me yearn for the other actual cut of the movie. Now, last year I took to Instagram to lament the movie and confirm what many of us actually thought before the movie even came out, that it was essentially a Harley and Joker story. There was some element of this, but mostly in flashbacks and bits and pieces, and we weirdly saw him sort of give up her when she falls out of the helicopter and things like that. But I feel like there was a lot more story to tell. It felt so weird that he would literally disappear and then just reappear to save her from jail in the last moments of the movie. However, recently Ayer has actually confirmed that Joker's helicopter does crash, and he makes a deal with Enchantress to take Harley and become the king of Gotham. He was present in the final act, and a rumor years ago said how he had actually burnt his face and tries to convince Harley to leave, but she refuses, which is why I suspect the Joker actually makes a deal with Enchantress to have Harley all to himself, because he is all about control. Now, other scenes included more examples of their toxic relationship. Now, for the record, I actually adored the Joker by Jared Leto. I thought he was really good in my opinion, and there was a lot of hate for this version of the character, but people are welcome to their own opinions, and I do respect that. But in the cinematic cut of the movie, he felt very extra, and I think more scenes of context was needed to really understand the motivations of the character and get to know him a bit more. Now, taking about the Snyder Cut, I actually spoke in my last video about how the parademons were supposed to be featured in Suicide Squad, and funnily enough, as I uploaded it, David actually confirmed this. A Twitter user mentioned that in Darkseid War, the latest DC animated movie, people were kidnapped and turned into parademons. This actually happened in Justice League, as the parademons were from worlds that Darkseid had actually conquered. Now, I confirmed that the villains in Suicide Squad that were turned by Enchantress were supposed to actually be turned into parademons. This makes sense, as Steppenwolf was also originally to be in the movie, and Enchantress was actually under the control of Steppenwolf and also a mother box. The entire city was overtaken, and it was all a prep for an invasion of the planet by the new god. Of course, this is similar to Justice League, and I would like to think it would have been just a test to see what resistance he would have. And of course, in Justice League, the whole part of the nuclear power plant was taken over, the whole place was changed and things like that. And I think that having this be here and then referenced later on in Justice League would have worked really, really well. I also prefer this motivation of Enchantress turning bad, as her motivations in the actual finished product were flimsy at best and would have made her love trying to save her actually makes sense, and we kind of actually root for him to save her, to be honest, instead of her just being an evil witchy woman. Now, setting up the Justice League in this movie would have been superb and build hype for that movie, and seeing the characters from Justice League be in this movie, it's all connected like Marvel, which is why those movies, and especially Phase 1, work worked so well because it was so interconnected. But the real issue here with the DCEU as a whole is that none of them actually feel connected. And like I said, while the Avengers was set up throughout and then connected in phase 1, the DCEU is disjointed, and introducing the threat of parademons synonymous with Darkseid early would have allowed the Justice League to actually have an interesting villain, because Steppenwolf would be here and then we could have got Darkseid in Justice League. But back on the topic of the Joker, AYER also confirms that there was a lot of Joker scenes cut out, and actually nearly all of Leto's scenes were cut, and it was about him mostly trying to control Harley and actually fighting the Suicide Squad over control of her. Now, extra scenes of Harley Quinn were also cut, and both these statements seem to back up this as well, Joker and Harley's story being the focal point of this, with a side story of Enchantress being controlled by Steppenwolf. Now, if that was just a side story, I'm not too sure how people would have taken that, to be honest, but it couldn't really be any worse, to be honest. Now, like I said, there were 2 cuts of the movie shown, an AYER cut that does actually exist. While the parademons won't be in it, an actual story and decent story, like I said, of the Joker and Harley with extra scenes in it is something I would like to see, and AYER himself has also said that he actually made a comic book accurate version of Harley Quinn. We're just not going to see it. Now, maybe seeing more Leto would win people over. I mean, did you ever think that it was so weird that we got so much Joker in the trailer, the marketing and everything, but we really saw not that much of him? It was mostly via flashbacks and just a little scene here and there when he saves her and him trying to change the bombs in her neck. Let me know what you think. Would you like to see this AYER cut? Do you think these differences in the changing of the plot works better? And what did you think of Suicide Squad as a movie? It's been 4 years, so time does fly, so maybe some people have changed their mind. But that's it for this video, so please drop a like, and please do subscribe for more if you want it. I'll see you soon, and goodbye.